I show up.
Well, good morning.
Good
Today,
morning.
February 11th, 11 o'clock, and we have several here inside of the council chambers. This is the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee special meeting. Thank you for being here. We have a quick roll call, starting with David Heimbach,
Present.
Shannon Dionier.
Present.
Tell me your last name.
Donier.
I get it wrong every time. My apologies.
Okay.
And this is Wendy Van Orman. You have the agenda before you. Looking for an approval, a motion?
You mean for the minutes from last year?
Agenda approval.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll approve. This is the time that we have public comment, and we've got several of you here. So if you'd like to go ahead and approach the advisory council, love to hear from you. And there's going to be another opportunity at the end.
Our big fundraiser we do is the RIM ride, and that's where our main request comes from.
Microphone's not on, please.
Oh, yep, that always helps.
Yeah. And Jeff, I apologize to clarify. These are general comments, not specifically related to any one lodging tax effort. And so we'll have each entity that is applied come up during our review of the 2025 lodging applications to go through a little bit more in depth of their plans.
Gotcha. I was just
Yep.
jumping the
Perfect.
gun here.
Understood. Yep. And
That's okay. It's been a while for us too.
All right, I'm good.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last time we met was April 18th. So we're all a little rusty here. Any other public comment? Not specific to what they're going to be asking for? Okay, hearing none. We're going to go on to the review of prior minutes. Those are before the advisory committee. Looking for a motion and a second.
I move we accept the 2023-24 minutes.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Motions have been approved. Meetings have been approved. Okay. Now we get on to the good stuff. Review of the 2025 lodging tax applications. There are 8 of them before us. We've had a chance to review them since last week. And I'm going to turn this over slightly to Kyle and let him go over it.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair Van Orman. So we're going to go through each one of these individually, and Lodging Tax Commission, feel free to interject and ask any questions kind of as they present. First up, we do have a presentation from the Liberty Lake Police Foundation, and I'll call Mr. Brian Asmus up to the podium and talk about some of their 2025 activities they're seeking funding for.
Great. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, members of the committee. Chairman Van Orman, it's great,
Nice to
great
see
to be
you.
in front of you. So do you have the presentation that is emailed you, Kyle?
Yeah.
The email. So here to present on behalf of the Liberty Lake Police Foundation. We are a almost brand new 501c3 organization. And so go to the next slide, Kyle, please. So our members of our foundation include John Bujosa, who is our president. He's also a police ambassador for Liberty Lake Police Department. Scott Haug, who is the retired police chief from the city of Post Falls. Myself, I'm the secretary of this new foundation and retired police chief from Liberty Lake. Joe Mann, who's one of our directors and in charge of our fundraising efforts. Rick Johnson, a director also, and he's involved in our marketing. Darren Morgan, who is a police lieutenant with Liberty Lake Police Department, and he is the liaison between this foundation and the police department. Next slide, please, Kyle. Here's our mission of our foundation. I just really want to, it's a lot of words. So just the very bottom part I'll read is the foundation supports the strengthening of relationships between the police department and the community. And that's our function. Next slide, please. So specifically about our lodging tax grant application, what this is for our 2025 Cops, Cars, and Cruisers event scheduled for Saturday, September 13th, 2025 at MODE, or the Meadowood Technology Campus on Malta Road. Our funding ask from the committee is $1,500 to support our marketing campaign for this event. The event itself is a car show. Also has community displays at the car show, a food court. We have craft vendors. And at the end of the car show, there's a Cruising with the Cops event. So those participating in the show can join a cruise through Liberty Lake out into State Line, Idaho, where they end at the Speedway. And then they make a few laps around the Speedway to conclude that event. This is our 8th year of having this event. This is the first year that it is being sponsored by our foundation. Last year, we had over 200 participants in the event. And we determined as a board that all the monies raised at this event would go back to our community through our local Special Olympics programs. Next slide, please, Kyle. We looked at our travel data. It is collected from our registration forms that we have. Based on our 2024 participant data, we've estimated 10 room nights would be generated. That's up from 2024. We expect a larger number in 2025. This event has grown in 8 years from about 20 participants to now 200 plus. Our event flyer, which was included, the draft was included in your packet, does include the contact information for the Quality Inn and Best Western. The hotel information will also be on our event website, our flyers, brochures, registration forms, event signage, print advertising, our social media platforms, and then we've asked our DJ at the event to make announcements featuring all of our sponsors, including our hotels, during that event itself. Next slide. There's our website. If you'd like to go on there and take a look, our flyer that includes the hotel information is located there. Next slide, please. Here's some events from last year's photo, just kind of give you the size and scope of how many participants that we had. Includes displays from our local first responders, the sheriff's helicopter, K9 units. We have community events, community displays there as well. And it's just a great full day of enjoying the community and respecting our first responders. And last slide. So thank you for your time and consideration. Open to any questions or concerns that you might have. When we originally filed our grant application, we had not yet received our 501c3 status yet, but I'm proud to say that I brought copies with us today. So we do have that now, so it is official, in case that was a question.
Well,
So with that, if any other questions that you have, I'll be happy to answer them.
Well, congrats on your new status. And I'll open that up for any questions.
I have none.
I have none.
Okay. Well, I would have a ton of them, but you did such a wonderful job of including so much inside of your packet. You've answered pretty much all of them.
Great.
Good luck with your event.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Brian.
And next up, we have Sue Hamblett with the Friends of Liberty Lake Library to present their ask for 2025 lodging tax funds.
I am Sue Hamblett. I'm here for the Friends of the Library, and can you roll? We have, this is for our soiree. We would like to have a little bit of help in making sure that we have sufficient food. Would you roll our tape first? Thank you. I have a small video. It's our commercial. That will be modified because our QR code is last year's QR code, and we'll have a new one this year. But the Friends of the Library gave rise to the summer soiree in about 2018. Since then, we have raised thousands of dollars for the library, and the event is much bigger now. We get donations from many of the city's merchants for prizes to be awarded at the event, but the cost of food has always taken a large swath of our profits. The winery donates the use of their space and their staff for the occasion, which it's very generous of them to do that. But it's all hands on deck from the Friends in order to make sure this is all pulled off. And the shindig really is quite the event for Liberty Lake. We get patrons from Spokane County all over, but also we attract Idaho, Western Washington, and last year we got one from California. And we do sell out usually about 2 weeks before the event. We advertise in the Splash, KXLY, Liberty Lake Neighbors, Facebook, the Friends website, posters that go around town and anywhere else where people go to get something, figure out what exciting information they need to do. This is an article that we had last year at, you don't have a copy of it, but it's cool, that they put in the Liberty Lake Neighbors. This is just a mock-up. Again, the QR code is insufficient, but this is a mock-up of what our posters could look like for this coming year. And are there any questions? We would like to have $900 because our charcuterie boards, the cost of food has a tendency to go up every year, and we haven't raised the price of the tickets because we want to make sure it's inclusive. So we thought, well, if we just get a little more help on the food, then we won't have to be digging into the profits that in turn go to the library for the programs there. Questions? Now questions.
Any other questions?
I
I
have
have no
none.
question.
Thank you very much.
That's
for
it?
Everything. Yeah, I have
Dang.
everything too, and
Thank you.
hope to see you there.
Thank you, Sue. Next up, we have Phil Champlin with the Hub Sports Center and his ask for $20,000 for various 2025 events.
Thank you very much. Phil Champlin, Executive Director for Hub Sports Center. We're a 501c3 nonprofit here in Liberty Lake. Our purpose is to provide events that have a positive impact on youth and community. Appreciate the opportunity to apply for these funds. Last year, we had about 58 overnight stay events. Our ask is for the entire year of marketing and operations of these events and programs. Of those 58 events, 25 were volleyball, 22 were basketball, 7 camps, then we had pickleball and futsal and martial arts events as well. In your packet, I shared some of the feedback from the different groups in terms of where they came from, more than 50 miles away. So out of these 58 events, almost 60% of the travelers, either teams or participants, are coming from more than 50 miles away. We estimate that we're generating around a little over 4,000 room nights for the area. And so for Liberty Lake, we figured probably about a quarter of those are here in the city, so 1,000 room nights. Overall economic impacts about $7 million a year from the events and tournaments and things that are going on at the Hub. This year, we're able to add some new events with our outdoor synthetic turf fields. We have 2 new fields out there, and so we've already had Eastern Washington Surf hosted their ID Select Camp the first weekend in January outside, which is crazy, but that's when they did their tryout. So we had 450 kids from Montana, Idaho, Oregon, and Western Washington, Central Washington, and Eastern Washington come and participate in that event here in Liberty Lake. And then the USL Velocity soccer team hosted their tryouts at our facility mid-January, and they had 100
participants coming from actually all over the world to try out for their team. And so we're already seeing expanded usage and expanded people coming in for the new fields in addition to our indoor operations. These monies go towards media campaigns and raising awareness of the hub, again, help with the operational needs of running these events and bringing these different groups in. Yeah, looking forward to another great year in 2025. Open to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions from the committee members?
I have no
have-
question.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Phil.
Excellent. Thank you, Phil. Next up, we have Gail Tenbrick from the Kiwanis Club of Liberty Lake to discuss a handful of 2025 events they're seeking funding for.
Oh, I'm Gail Tenbrink with Kiwanis. I don't have a presentation to show everyone. This is my first time doing this with you folks, but I'm sure that Kiwanis is well known to all of you. Our ask is for assistance with the funding of the annual garage sale, which brings in people from all over the area and has been very popular. We'd like to do a little more of our advertising of that. Also for the 4th of July, we are working with the city on that and doing a lot of activities there and putting that together. Then with the Barefoot in the Park, bringing in bands and food and a lot of vendors for that. So our presence in the city over the summer with the movies in the park, I think, is very well known and has been a long standing. Our main focus for our fundraising is scholarship funds for area graduating students who are going either to a four-year college or a trade school or vocational. We've given out in the range of $15,000 a year to that. We also participate with the Cops and Cruisers, give all of our profits when we bring our mobile truck to that, to give all of our profits to that, to the Special Olympics. We've participated with many other of the local entities, given to the Friends of the Library, to Bites to Go, to Vanessa Behan, very many opportunities that we've had to share. So we are looking for some funding so that we can increase that and hold steady with that. We've got a very dedicated core group of individuals who volunteer throughout the year in doing this. And this is just our opportunity to ask for a little help so that we can give back even more to the community.
Thank you, Gail. How many volunteers do you have with Kiwanis right now?
Our membership on paper is maybe 25 to 30. We've got probably 15 people who are, the core, who are there most every week. And then we've got, a number of us drag our spouses along when it's time to pop the popcorn and sell the hot dogs in the summertime.
I was going to say, with all of these events that you have going, you guys are going to be hopping.
We're well aware of that. Luckily, we've been able to bring in some new members this year. I've been, doing a little more community outreach and going to businesses, and, we've got some very wonderful people in our community and businesses that say, hey, part of our corporate mantra is that, we want to help our community. So, we're very blessed in that regard.
Well, the only question I had, and I flipped through real quick, is as far as tourism funds, I think all of these applicants are very worthy.
Mhm.
My question would be making sure that our heads and beds are filled. So do you advertise in all of
We-
this?
We do. We have advertising out, giving that. We have on our website, links to the hotels. We've got on our Facebook page, we have that. We've had articles in the Splash and the Liberty Lake Neighbors. So yes, we have a lot of advertising that we're, getting the word out to the wider community of the things to come into Liberty Lake for.
Well, Gail, for being new, you did great. Let me go ahead and open this up to the other committee members, if there's any questions they may have.
I have a question on funding, for the events for Kiwanis. Are any of those subsidized by the city at all? Like movies in the park, anything like that?
Movies in the park are not subsidized by the city. The 4th of July, there is some city participation
Right.
in that. You know, we are responsible for all the registry for the Barefoot in the Park, I believe, for that. So
Mhm.
you might be a little more aware than I am, Wendy. I think that's accurate. That
Yes.
4th of July is a joint.
Correct.
Usually the fireworks are provided by the
Yes.
city.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Shannon, did you have any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you presenting.
Thank you, Gail. Next up, we'll have Jeff with Liberty Lake Centennial Rotary Club come up and discuss 2025 activities, and specifically Rotary in Motion Rim Ride they hold every year.
All right, thank you. I'm back again. Jeff Grimes, and again with Brian and Carol too, as part of the club as well. So thank you. Rim Ride is our biggest fundraiser that we do at the club. This is officially our 14th year, but we had that missed year of COVID, so really should be 15. But anyways, it's been very successful. Last year, we had our second largest ride, our largest since COVID, which was huge. We had 532. Our largest ride was just before COVID at 694. So it's taken a few years to get built back up, but we really feel like we're in the right trajectory. Also, what's benefited us too is there's been other rides in the area that have faltered, like Fondo last year went away. Did hear they're coming back this year though. Spoke Fest. So one of the things that's allowed us to do is move our dates like 2 weeks earlier too as well, which I think has also helped with our numbers to get more participants before school. So we're going in the right direction. We get a lot of out-of-town riders. That's probably about 45%. And this is measured from our registration, so we know where they're coming from. They come from Western Washington, Tri-Cities, Canada, Arizona, Idaho, Montana. And actually, I remember last year we had a group of about 10 from the Midwest. They drove in their van and they did the family ride. And they also did our longer rides, the 50 and the 100. So we definitely have a far reach. And there's been other years we get them from Washington, D.C., things like that. And so this is measured by when we we ask some of the questions is, are you going to be staying overnight? And so that's kind of helps us too, to kind of get an idea of who's going to be staying in beds and heads. So we estimated last year there was about 30 to 60 people that stayed in the hotels. We don't know that for sure, but that's just our best numbers just from the way they're answering those questions. And when we register, the biggest thing we do on our website is we put links just to the two Liberty Lake hotels here. Actually, the RV too. Well, that's been our third one we put in as well. So we're really trying to promote the local. Is that a question? Oh, I thought I heard something. So anyways, and then the other things we do in the community too, which they're not going to really bring the beds and heads that we're aware of, but that's the Memorial Day breakfast, which last year we did. I think there was over 600 people who attended. So that's just been growing every year. We have a foundation that's part of the Liberty Lake Rotary Club, and it's a 501(c). So everything kind of funnels through there, and that's how we give back to our community. So any
Perfect.
questions?
Any questions?
None from me.
None from me.
Thank you.
You were pretty thorough. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Next up, we'll have Kyle Smock with the TAC at the Lake present their 2025-2026 season of heroes, and then take any questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the committee for hearing our proposal today. My name is Kyle Smock. I'm the president of the board of directors at our TAC at the Lake, the Liberty Lake Community Theater, the only community theater really outside of Spokane that does year-round community theater programming. We've been lucky to be involved in the Liberty Lake community for about 15 years and providing community theater for nearly 35 years. Our program is unique in that we do 5 shows a year, and we have about 140 performers a year perform in our shows, and about 4,000 audience members. But what's unique is every show we require as part of our mission to have 30% of the cast brand new to our theater, which often results in 30% of those families and relatives brand new to our theater and area. So we're constantly getting in a new cycle of audience members and cast members as well. Because of the type of theater that we do, it's a lot of first timers on the stage, which results in a lot of grandparents and grandmas and, you know, aunts and uncles and people from outside the area to come and view those shows, which is where we're able to get some of those heads in beds. We do have on our website a specific section for places to stay in Liberty Lake, where we have hot links directly to those hotels as well. Our season theater is immensely expensive, and it just gets more and more expensive. Besides our overhead, our Vista bill with all their stage lights and everything, rights and royalties for every single show have to be paid well in advance. We have to pay a royalty for every performance that we do, and rights for the overall right to do the show. And then we have to purchase music for musicals. There's also a show budget for every show for props and costumes and set. So theater does become very expensive, and it is really with the generous tax subsidy that we're able to get, that it's allowed us to continue to improve and put other things into our theater, such as new sound systems, lighting, that kind of thing. Any questions?
Most of your performers, are they volunteers?
Everyone is a volunteer. Nobody gets paid. We do have a small stipend for directors and for crew. So like a music director, a costumer, very, very small, barely covers fuel to get back and forth to the theater every single night. We're at the theater 5 nights a week. And so we do ask a lot of our volunteers, but everybody at the theater is a volunteer.
Perfect. Any other questions?
The question I have is regarding some previous funding. You folks had requested for some new lighting equipment. Were you able to secure that? It might have been a couple of years now.
Yeah, several years ago, I think might have been coming out of COVID or right around the COVID times. We did secure some funding for some lighting upgrades, which we did do. Lighting upgrades at that time was taking out some of our incandescent fixtures and putting them into LEDs, which also required the use of a new light board, a control board. So we have always, every single year, any money that we've gotten out of the Liberty Lake lodging tax, we've exceeded that number. I mean, it's always just a small portion of what it is that we've needed. For the last couple of years, in order to allow us a little bit more flexibility in our infrastructure projects, we've been requesting money specifically to assist us in covering the cost of the season. Our season is about 40,000. So this will cover about 50% of our season, and then allows us to kind of earmark some other money to infrastructure things without having to kind of prove up that we've done specific infrastructure things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shannon, did you have any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kyle, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks for providing such an amazing opportunity.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Kyle. Next up, we have Rose Noble from Visit Spokane. Rose is currently en route to Olympia, but she is on the call. So we will turn the floor over to her if she can hear us.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. The floor is yours.
Okay, I'm going to be super quick because I'm hopping on a bus. We are super excited to apply for some of the funds. And in our presentation, I've outlined exactly how we'll use those funds to support small business promotion related to tourism in Liberty Lake. I've also outlined how we'll do a few extra boosted options for some of the offerings and events that Liberty Lake does host, like their farmers market. So because I'm next to a wild bus and I'm about to hop on, I'm going to leave it as that. Just remind everybody that we're the DMO for the region, which is 501c6, and we promote nothing but tourism connected to Heads in Beds. So I look forward to answering your questions, hopefully in the chat. Thank you.
Thanks, Rose. Are there any questions?
I have none.
I have none.
Okay. Rose, thank you for your packet. Well aware of what Visit Spokane does, and thank you for all that you do for our whole region. My main concern is Liberty Lake, of course. Wanting to make sure that we are out in front with the funds that we're giving you. So thank you very much and safe travels.
Okay, excellent. With that, thank you, Rose. We will round out our 2025 applications with Marcia Bender from Winterglow to discuss the 2025 Winterglow Spectacular.
Thank you for having me here today. I have to say, I wasn't planning on presenting anything. I was just asked to be the new representative for Winterglow Board. I know you have the application that was prepared by Mark, and I can go through that if you'd prefer more details, but I think it's pretty, contains most of the information you know. Hopefully, everybody here is aware of Winterglow, and we've been in Orchard Park for 6 years now. Tremendous amount of volunteer help, a lot of sponsorship from the community, and we've also benefited from the Spokane connection because they promoted our Winterglow this winter too. Anyway, do you have any questions? Do you want me to provide more details? You good with what we presented?
I do have a question. I know also sitting on the council that the city of Liberty Lake upped the funds that we were giving you for this year's budget. Was that reflected in your presentation? And are you planning on adding more to Winterglow?
We always, as anyone who's been to Winterglow on a regular basis, you can see it expands and grows every year. And there's more cost involved in volunteers too, because the number of volunteers that actually help up has declined every year. So we've had to actually outsource more through Geiger. So that's an expense that has actually grown for Winterglow. I do want to say we do promote all the donations and the hotels at our event. We have signs to acknowledge those that have donated.
Okay. Marcia, when do you start setting up for Winterglow?
Setting up is 2 weeks before the event because that's kind of negotiated with the city. They don't want us in the park any sooner than that generally. But there's a lot of work done throughout the season. There's always things that need to be repainted, repaired, replaced. You have to go through everything to see how it works. So a lot of that started some in the summer. We'll start actually the very 1st of November, a lot of times, the committee. And we always seek everything we can to find new volunteers, but that's been a real challenge too.
I think that's true everywhere.
Mhm.
Yes. Thank you. Is there any questions that we have from the committee members?
I don't have any.
David?
So any of the funds that will be allocated to Visit Spokane, do you know how much or if any of that is used to promote Winterglow? Or is that a question for Visit Spokane?
Well, I think it would be a better question for them, but I do know they promoted video, and I actually saw the video and it was excellent, and they did promote Winterglow with that. So I don't know how the funding is involved. But, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you. Nope, I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Excellent. With that, that kind of concludes our wrap on the review of 2025 ask for these 8 organizations. And so as the committee deliberates, some of the things that we'll want to keep in mind is that eligible organizations must be able to demonstrate the ability to achieve tourism goals as outlined as follows. And so increase hotel occupancy in Liberty Lake by creating overnight stays, increasing overnight stays during the off-season, provide visitor attractions and or promotes the area's existing attractions, and attracts more business to Liberty Lake and thereby generates additional business for hotels and motels. And so as part of the agreements that each one of these entities will sign upon approval of all or some of these funds will be to demonstrate the ability for them to collect the information that we are seeking in that application. So with that, if the committee would like to deliberate, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we can start reviewing these one by one and considering motions to approve lodging tax funds for 2025.
Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it. Okay, as we look through all 8 of these, any comments of changes to any of these or approve as being submitted?
I move that these be approved as submitted. I do need, if I can get some clarification first, I guess I should rescind my motion. Kyle, what is our total fund?
Excellent question. So if we can all, and I know, apologies, the gallery doesn't have access to the packet, but page 4, committee in your packet, identifies the collective ask for 2025 and the estimated resources for 2025. And so the collective 2025 request for funds is $195,572. The estimated resources for 2025 is $268,450. And so historically, and by historically, I mean over 5 years ago, there was, I would say, legitimate competition for these funds. Post-COVID, we are returning to an eventual competition for these funds. We do not have that in 2025. So you're going to see a delta of about $70,000 that is the estimated resources above what we have for the 2025 request for funds.
Thank you.
And the one question I would have for you, Kyle, how much of this is generated every year by our hotels?
So it is about 78,000. And so we did work up a surplus. And so if I still have that, and bear with me, I can give you an exact figure here in about 2 minutes. But I think it's roughly 80,000 a year.
Okay. And of course, as an advisory committee, we advise and make a recommendation to the city council. So even though this funding will be in one way or the other recommended, it will be your work at the end that will show how much you'll be getting back. So, and I'm correct in that.
That is correct. These funds are awarded on a reimbursement basis, which means you incur the cost, the activity takes place, you report back on that activity and those expenses, and those are ultimately approved by council.
Kyle, the $268,450, is any of that carryover?
It is. There is a substantial amount that is carryover, and so we would anticipate probably not next year, potentially next year, but in 2027, returning to what we would call a competitive application for these funds.
Okay, Shannon, did you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay.
And then just to follow up on that, in 2024, we received a total of $87,000 in lodging tax funds.
A little bit more than average, okay. Okay, did you want to make a motion, David?
Yes. I move that the committee accept the total funds proposed of $195,512 for funding for 2025.
I think small print, but I think that's $572.
Thank you. It is. My pen ran out.
Okay.
So I amend my motion to state $195,572.
I'll second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Any other conversations? Hearing none. All those approve?
Aye.
Aye. Waiting for that last one, David.
He
I
raised
said
his-
aye.
Yeah.
Okay. That's silent. We didn't see your hand.
That's okay.
Okay, well, it looks like you are all approved. This will go towards the city council and congratulations. We can't wait to see your events.
Procedurally, we will present this for council's ultimate approval. So these are just recommendations at this point. We will have that approval for council at their next meeting.
Okay. So if you'd like to come to the next city council meeting where this is being passed, we encourage you to just do so. Okay.
Excellent. To round it out, we do have public comment if anybody wishes to speak, and then we will adjourn.
Okay, any other public comment? One more time, any other public comment? Okay,
I think we're good.
public comment? Okay, hearing none. This meeting is adjourned.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We're adjourned at 11:41.